11th of November, Rabbi, first Parsha Hashavua Vayera.
Okay. Good morning. This is, as Lou said, Rabbi Stone first here, Yeshivot Samanav, here in Yerushalayim, care of Zoom. We are at Erev Shabbos, Parshas Vayera, Shana Tavshin Pei Gimel. And I'll tell you where we can work on the psukim, to see the psukim we're interested in. That'll be in, let's see here. Yeah, let's start with in Perek Yud Tes, chapter 19. Let's start with Pasuk Yud, Yud Beis. If you have it there, who would like to begin to read?
If I can find it. Good base. Please. The Titzchak Sarah.
Sorry, Lou, did you start talking and we didn't hear you?
Yes, you can't hear me?
Now I can, yeah. I think we missed you at the first few.
Okay. But okay.
Start again.
The Titzchak Sarah.
And I don't think so. Yud,
No.
chapter 19, Pasuk, verse 12.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in 18. Okay, sorry.
Right. Well, that's why I thought we missed you, because I thought there was you'd gotten further on. I didn't.
Okay. Vayomer Ha'anashim, is that right?
Yep.
That's right.
El Lot Od Mi Lecha O Hasan Uvanecha Uvenosecha V'chol Asher Lecha Va'ir Hotzei Min HaMakom. So the men said to Lot, who else is here? A son-in-law, a son, I'm sorry, sons, or daughters, all that that you have in the city, take out from this place, the place. Ki ha-shechisim anachnu es ha-makom hazeh ki gadla ta'akasam es pnei Hashem vayishalchenu Hashem l'shachatsa. Because we are going to destroy this place.
You're off mic again, Lou.
We are going to destroy this place.
Mhm.
Um,
So let me ask you, in Pasuk 12, how do you interpret the instructions that they were giving to Lot?
He said,
Get out with all your
Still not hearing you, Lou.
Lou, it's very directional, your microphone.
Let's see.
Now we hear you.
Now you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I said, get out with all your family.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, again, okay, like I said, like I said,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't hear you, Rabbi.
Chosin. Look at the order of the things here. Chosin ubenecha ubenesecha. Rashi. Look at the Rashi here. Look at the. Let's do the Rashis here. Take a look at the Rashis. You have it there.
Yeah. Let's see. Od mi lecha fo. Who else is here? Shuto shel mikra. The simple meaning of the verse is mi yesh lecha od ba'ir hazos. Whom else do you have in this city? Hutz me ish techa, besides your wife. Uve no secha shabayit, and your daughters who are living at home. Chasan uvanecha uve no secha, son-in-law and your sons and your daughters. Im yesh lecha chasan, if you have a son-in-law. Oh, banim uvanos, or sons and daughters. Otzi mean hamakom, remove them from this place. Uvanecha, and your sons, b'nei v'nosecha anishuos, sons of your married daughters. Okay, fine, that's pretty clear. I mean, that's pretty, I don't think Rashi told us anything. We already know everything that he
It goes
said.
on further with the midrashic explanation.
Right. So
Odd.
Right.
Because up to now is the pashtus of the pasuk. This is the plain meaning of the pasuk. Now
Right.
the medrash.
Midrash Agadah and the homiletical explanation, Ode, still, even now, may achar she'ostin nivala kazos. Once they are doing such obscenity, mi lecha hischon peh. Do you have any rationalization? Lila made sa negoria alehem, for presenting a defense on their behalf. Shekol ha laila, that all night, or because all night, haya me litz alehem tovos, he had been advocating points to their advantage. Hare ve, read it as mi lecha peh. Do you have a mouth?
Right.
So midrashic explanation is that you've been pleading on their behalf all night, but they're so bad that it's not doing any good.
Right. Okay. So,
I-
so based on this Rashi, so what's the rest of the pasuk? Look at the rest of the pasuk. V'kol asher l'cha be'ir otzi min hamakom. What
It
do you
seems
think
to
that's
be a
supposed to?
contradiction, because if what they're saying is you haven't succeeded in advocating for them because they're so bad, then why is it saying remove them? You should say leave them.
Well, I mean, it's v'kol asher l'cha be'ir. Meaning, this is going according to the pashtus of the pasuk, the plain meaning. Well, according to the plain meaning of the pasuk, what's this supposed to include? This last part of the pasuk, v'kol asher l'cha be'ir hotzi min hamakom.
His sons and
Okay.
daughters and sons-in-laws and daughters-in-laws.
Well, we already mentioned that, right?
No. No. He said, who else do you have here? Son-in-law, son, daughters. Remove them all.
Well, it doesn't have to say v'kol asher l'cha be'ir. Those words are extra.
I don't understand.
Well, he's clarifying what all means. All that you have in the city doesn't mean your friends. It just means your family.
That's a good point.
When he said, take out your family, take out your sons, your daughters, your son-in-laws, right?
Right, but not anybody else.
Okay, but so what's
All,
the
Hashem is saying, when I say all, I mean all your family. I don't mean all, everybody.
He didn't have to say all, just say take out your family. What do you have to tell me? What do you have to mention about all for?
There might be some who are not too sure whether they are part of the family or not from the behavior of the daughters.
What you're saying is it could have said, and then the men said to Lot, whom else do you have here? A son-in-law and your sons and your daughters? Remove them from the city. Remove them from the place.
Yeah, take them out of the place, right?
Okay, fine.
I think these are angels, and presumably they know anyway the answer to the question. So I think that they want, if that is the case, I think they want Lot to become aware of who's who with him.
Okay, so they mentioned the specifics. You don't have to mention the generalities. Once you told me the specifics of who you're supposed to take out, you don't have to go now and mention,
Yeah, thy son-in-law and thy sons. So he's got, and thy daughters.
Right.
What about daughters-in-law? We haven't said.
Didn't mention that daughters-in-law, right?
I said thy
Okay.
sons and thy daughters. Did he mention, in the English translation, there's no daughter-in-law?
Yeah. Okay, let's hold on to that. Let's see a few more psukim. I guess let's the Yud Dalet. I guess we're in verse Yud Dalet.
Okay. V'yetze Lot vayedaber el chasanav lokchei v'nosav vayomer kumu tzu min ha-makom hazeh ki mashchis Hashem es ha'ir vayihi chimtzachek be'enei chasanav. Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law. Those who
got his
would
suitors,
his daughter, what?
got his suitors, his sons-in-law, the suitors of his daughter, suitors,
The suitors of his daughter,
daughters.
of his daughters. And he said, get up and come out from this place, because Hashem is going to destroy the city. And I'm sorry, but he seemed like a joker in the eyes of his sons-in-law.
Were his sons-in-law or the suitors that hadn't got married yet?
Rashi said, look at the Rashi in Yudalid.
Mm-hmm.
Hasanav, his sons-in-law, stay vanos nesuyos hayu lo. He had two daughters who were nesuos in the city. Nesuos, it's the commentary says, let's see, Nesuin is the second stage of marriage. I'm not sure why it doesn't just translate it as married. These were married. These men were married to his daughters.
Right. So how many? So yeah. Okay. See the rest of the Rashis.
Lokei binosav. The suitors of his daughters. Sheosan shebabayis rusos lahem. Those to whom the daughters at home are arusos. Now, arusos is the first stage.
Engaged, betrothed.
Right.
Right. So in other words, the daughters are still at home.
Mm-hmm. So how many daughters did Lot have?
Was there four?
Four. Okay. And how many did you take out with him?
Two.
So which ones came out? Which ones stayed back?
The ones that were living in his house came out.
Mm-hmm.
The sons-in-law that were married.
Right.
So the sons-in-law married the daughter. So the sons-in-law in the first paragraph we read, the son-in-law, that would be his children, two of his sons, and two and wife for each, and thy sons, they're not married yet, and thy daughters, they're not married yet.
There are no sons.
I'm looking at the 12 that we read before.
Right. But we know from the fact that the daughters end up having relations with their father that there were no other men there.
Mm.
Right. Apparently, Lot had no sons.
Oh. So why has it
So
got?
Roy wants to know, why does it say your sons if he had no sons?
Well, I mean, they didn't necessarily know that.
But they were angels. They know, they should know.
I don't know if the angels don't know everything.
Hmm. Well, actually, they're asking a question, so the answer could be yes or no. So, who have you got here? They ask you your son-in-law and your sons and the daughters and whoever. So, what is it that you've got? Bring them. What have you got in the city? Bring them out, whoever it is.
Right. But they didn't necessarily know that he didn't have any sons. Apparently, he didn't have any sons.
Fishing around in a way.
Right. Okay. Let's see the next pasuk. Test love.
Ukamo ha shachar Allah vayitzu ha malachim lot lemor kum kach es ishtecha ve'es shtei v'nosecha ha nimtzaos pen tisafeh ba'avon ha'ir. So dawn was breaking. The angels urged Lot, saying, "Get up, take your wife and your two daughters who are found, lest you will be obliterated because of the iniquity of the city."
Very good. See the Rashi here.
Vayitzu. They urged. Kisargumo, as it is translated, udechiku, and they pressed, mi haruhu, and they hurried him, nimtzaos, who are found, hamizu manos lecha, who are available to you, the bias in the house, lehatzilam, to save them, umid rashe agada yesh, and there is a homiletical explanation, v'zeh yish uvo shel mikra. But this is the resolution of the verse, i.e., the explanation that fits the words the best.
Okay.
Tisafeh, you will be obliterated, means tiyeh chaleh, you will be annihilated. Ad tom kol hadur, until the end of all the generation.
Now, what's that supposed to mean? Tia kala ad tom koladur.
Well, he has one more phrase. He says it's translated as ad disaf kol dara, until the entire generation perished. Will be obliterated means will be annihilated until the demise of the entire generation.
Okay.
In other words, everybody in your generation is going to be wiped out.
Okay. That's true. The whole generation died.
No, that's not true. Abraham wasn't affected.
All right, so what's that? So I'm not sure what Rashi's talking about here. Mhm. No, I don't know. I'm not sure what it means there. I'm not sure what this Rashi means.
Um,
Mm, okay, no, let's leave that. I'm not sure.
The soft call Dara. That's what Onkelos says.
Yeah, yeah. That I don't have a good explanation of that. I have to work on that. Okay. Another pasuk has Zion.
okay, Test Zion. V'his ma vayachaziku ha'anashim biado yad ishto yad shtei v'nosav v'chemlas Hashem alav vayotzi uhu vayanichuhu michutz la'ir. So he delayed, and the men took his hand and his wife's hands and the hands of his two daughters, and the mercy of Hashem was upon him, and they took him out and left him outside the city.
Okay.
Rashi says, Vayis ma, he delayed, Hidei lehatzil es memoda.
You're silent. Good.
In order to save his money.
Mm. So this, yeah, okay, good. I wanted to make it, so he was delaying, right?
Right.
Even though the previous pasuk says they were pushing him out, they were forcing him out already, right?
Right.
So in spite of the fact that he was being pushed out of there, he was delaying to save his money.
Right.
You think that was a good thing to do?
Well, if
greedy, then yeah.
Maybe I'm not sure, but maybe go back to that pasuk we were talking about earlier today. That pasuk, the end of pasuk 12, right?
So maybe all the reason it says all redundantly, seeming redundantly, is it's not redundant. It's saying not only your family, but also your wealth, also your money.
Right? So take everything out, like even the paper clips and the pencils and the pens, the kitchen pots. He said call. So take it. We call a share l'chabir. What I mean, it's not from the pasuk itself. It's not definitive that it's only talking about people, is it?
No, not necessarily. I mean, if somebody said this to me, I would understand it to mean the family, only the family.
Oh, but they only told you to take out your son-in-laws, your sons, and your daughters, right?
Right, but why did it say that? It could have just said all that you have in the city, take out.
Yeah, so it
How we
says,
can understand all.
So I'm saying it's not all that's redundant. It's the son-in-law, the sons and the daughters is redundant.
well, I mean, I don't know, I mean, not taking out this, I don't know.
We often say something like, take everything with you, and then list certain things.
Right,
To be more specific, perhaps, or to make it clear what you mean by all.
right.
Or to emphasize.
To emphasize, yes. Take everyone. It doesn't say take everyone, it says take all. There's a difference in Ivrit?
I'm not sure. Hard to tell. Okay, just something to think about. I can't, because here, Rashi's making a point that he was delaying to save his money, and it could be that that's what he thought he was supposed to do anyway. I mean, you know, and to tell you the truth, I mean, I would have put reverse the two psukim. I would have said that he's delaying, right? He's delaying, and then they have to come and force him to go out. So what does it mean that? But that's what the pasuk is coming to say. Well, what does it mean? What does it mean that they grabbed him, the anoshim, the yado?
Well, that was a job, the angel's job, to save Lot and his
Right.
family.
Yeah.
So if Lot was going to be a bit recalcitrant about it, the angel would have to take matters into his own hand.
Right.
And he did, literally.
Mhm.
I've got here that of the two angels, one's job was to save Lot and all, and the other angel was to destroy the city.
Mhm.
But apparently, it says here in 16, but he lingered, and the men laid hold upon his hand. So it needs both the angels.
Apparently. Right. Echad mehem hayashliach letzilo. I mean, why is it talking about two? Both of them were told. Okay.
Yeah. My translation here doesn't translate it as money that he wanted to save. It was his property, because his money is portable, but property is not.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, money, property, basically the same. He was trying to save his personal belongings. Right. Okay. Let's continue on.
Let's see. Vayehi ki hotziam osam ha-chutza vayomer ha-malet al nafshecha al tabit acharecha ve'al ta'amod b'chol hakikar ha-hara ha-malet pen tisafeh. Okay, so and it was as they took them out, he said, flee for your life. Do not look back, and do not stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountain, lest you be obliterated.
Oh.
And Rashi says, flee for your life. Dayecha lehatil nafshos. It is sufficient to save your lives. Al tachom al hamamon. Do not have pity on money.
So one second, yo. So that's going to reflect back on what we were just saying. They were saying, no, just save your lives. Don't try and have a pity on your belongings, right? It's enough that you're being saved, your lives are being saved, right?
Right.
So based on this Rashi, you can't say pshat in that pasuk in your base, kol asher laha be'ir, hotzi min hamakom could refer to his money.
Oh, good point. Because it's the angels who are making the statement.
Right, exactly. And here he's being told, no, it's enough that you're saying your lives are being saved. Don't try and save your money. So that means it must be referring to people in Yud Beis.
Right.
Okay, good, very good. So that's clear.
Weiter?
Yeah, the rest of the Rashi, we're in the Rashi there.
Al tabit acharecha. Do not look behind you. Ata hirshata imahem. You did evil with them, along with them. Uvis chus Avraham, and in the merit of Avraham, ata nitzol, you're being saved. Einecha kedai, and you are not worthy. Liros before nusam, to see their punishment. Vata nitzol, and you are being saved.
Right, there you are. Right, it's only they have no right to look back because all the Rishoyim there in Sodom are being destroyed, and they really should be along there with him. It's only in the merit of Abraham that the Kadosh Baruch was letting them be saved themselves. So they have no right to look back and see the Rishoyim being destroyed and them being saved, because they didn't have any right to be saved on their own accord.
So I want to argue with Rashi. I want to say two problems. I have two issues with what Rashi with what Rashi just said.
Yeah.
Number one, the implication is that if they had not sinned, that they could look back, which I think is incorrect. You don't want to look at somebody's suffering regardless of whether you sinned with them or not. And the second point is, Dafka, since they sinned, they should look back so they can learn the lesson. It's like we say that when a person brings a carbon, he watches the animal being shechted and butchered, and he says, that should be me. So they should look back and see the destruction, and they should say, that should be me.
Right. One second. See, you're not, see, it says habit. Tabit is a intentful. I mean, what's the difference between histakel and the habit? I mean, histakel is like to glance at something, and tabit is to stare like with intent. Okay, with intent. So the when you're looking back at this, so there, when a person is staring intently at something, so he becomes associated with that thing that he's looking at. Okay, there's a connection that's established between that which you're staring at and yourself. So by looking back, that would establish a connection between them and the Rishoyim that are being destroyed. Now, you don't want to establish, or you don't want to have a connection with Rishoyim. You want to stay away with all connections with Rishoyim. You want to avoid. By looking back at what their fellows are being destroyed, it's not a connection which is desirable. Your example of the korban, there's nothing, you did nothing wrong. The korban did nothing wrong. So it's something which is being a sacrifice to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Korban is not a Russia, right? You're not supposed to look at a Russia even when he's alive. You're not supposed to look at a Russia even if he's not being destroyed, right? So I'm not sure if your question from Corbin is in place. What you could perhaps ask about is there are certain commandments that were given in Devarim when you have those who were killed by Beis Din, right? Those people who are chayav misas Beis Din, and so it's actually a commandment that you're supposed to look at them and they hang them up, and they keep them hanging up there for a day until the nighttime, and then they take them down. And people are actually supposed to look at them, and they're supposed to gain fear from the death sentence that was carried out on these people, and that should instill themselves a fear and a desire to avoid trying to do anything like that, which would get themselves in the same position, right? So that could be. I would maybe, if you want to ask the question, I would maybe ask a question from that halacha rather than from the korban, because the korban's not hasn't done anything wrong, right? Whereas those who are killed by Beis Din, he's done something wrong, And yet there you see there is a mitzvah that people should look and stare and take a lesson from what this person did.
Right.
So maybe that would be a better way to phrase your question, right? In which case, why not? So here, if we'll grant you the question, so here, see, when the person is being killed by Beis Din, so the other people haven't necessarily done that crime, right? But the Torah is commanding us to see and to look and to gain a fear of the transgression. So we should avoid doing it. We should actually avoid doing it because of the fear that will be inculcated in ourselves by looking at the victim of the crime or the victim of Beis Din's sentence. With Lot, meaning, as Rashi says, they were really supposed to be there as well, right? They were equally guilty. They were equally guilty. So, in terms of judgment, they really were judged to be destroyed along with everyone in Sodom. Right? It wasn't a matter of teaching them a lesson, right? They're making a connection, meaning if they cut themselves off completely and they don't look back, so, and they're not supposed to look back because that could be a demonstration of them cutting themselves off from what had been, and they're starting off anew, right? But if they're going to look back and they're going to look at the destruction of those people, so they don't have a right to do that because they didn't do anything positively good to be able to be saved, right? They're just as well obligated as those. So in the schus of Avraham Avinu, Hashem decided to save them, but on their own they couldn't have been saved.
And yet we see that Lot greets the angels, and he tries to save them, even to the point where he's willing to sacrifice his daughters.
Right, that's true, but that didn't really save him from his original problem. If you look back, go back to it's in Parshas Lech Lecha. Go back to Parshas Lech Lecha. I believe it's in Perek Yud Gimel. Yud Aleph. Yeah, take a look in chapter 13, Yud Gimel, and Pasuk Yud Aleph, Pasuk 11. Take a look at it. Look at the Pasuk and look at the Rashi there.
Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan, and Lot journeyed from the east, and they parted, each man from his brother. Rashi says it means the plain. From the east, he journeyed from next to Abraham and went towards Abraham's west. It is thus found that he was traveling from east to west. The Midrash, he made himself travel away from the forerunner of the world, i.e. from Hashem. He said, I want neither Abraham nor his God.
So at that point, Lot was finished, meaning he may have been willing to do a hachnasus orachim. He may have been willing to save the malachim, even at the expense of his own safety, his own life, even perhaps. But that didn't save him from his original decision. So,
But you can't say that he was one with the Sodomites.
well, I mean, that's really what Rashi is indicating over here, right? Well, you'll see in the next chapter what he went ahead and did with his daughters, right?
Well, it says he didn't know.
Yeah, but if you look at the Rashi's there, he says this is what he really wanted. But yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's a few minutes after our time. I guess I don't want to go into Rabbi Levitt speaking later on now also.
Yes.
Hashem, yes.
Okay, so I don't want to take his time. Okay, very good. There's always what to think about some more and to clarify things a little bit better, Be'ezer Hashem.
But from Lot came, and his daughters came Moab and Amnon.
Yes, they did, and from them came Mashiach.
Right. So he needed to be saved. So Hashem wanted him out of there in order to get that line going.
Right.
But if he didn't, well, Hashem wouldn't have let him. But say he didn't, then Hashem would have done something else to establish Moab and Amnon.
Right, also true.
Yeah.
Some would work it out.
Mm-hmm.
Be'ezer Hashem. All right, very good. Some things to think about over Shabbos, Mitzvah Hashem. Should both
All right.
have a good Shabbos.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Hope to see you on Yom Rishon, Mitzvah Hashem.
Amen.
Okay. Thank you. Right,
Thank
bye
you,
for
Al.
now. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
Shabbos.
Thank you. Good Shabbos.